Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of RoseAboveIt podcast. I'm your host, T. Rose.
Malcolm.
And we got a very special guest in the building. Councilwoman from District 1.
Yes.
Miss Shanae Williams.
Yes. Hello. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today?
How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out, honestly. It means a lot to us.
Definitely appreciate it.
How are you? How are you during these trying times, during this climate? How?
I'm good. I'm used to adversity. I'm used to, trials and tribulations. So I'm hanging in there, just working hard for the people of my district, and it all is, moving along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, we're gonna give our listeners, our viewers who are like political dummies, right?
Yeah.
So what is the job of a district owner?
Okay, so the city council's main responsibility is the city's budget.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor presents a budget to us, and we have to balance that budget and make sure that things get done. From public works, making sure sanitation is picked up, our parks, making sure that it's clean and it's healthy, that our kids have a safe space to play. Public education, we want to fund our public schools so that you can get a good quality education. Office for the Aging, Veterans Department. We have all these different departments. Development, from planning and development. There's so much that we do, but if we don't have the money in the budget to make everyday life go seamlessly in the city, then we have an issue, right? So that's our responsibility. But we do a lot of other things outside of just balancing the budget. We tend to do a lot of community work. Throughout this pandemic, one of the big things that we've been, doing to address the food insecurity is going out every day and giving food to those who are in need. Things like that. But anything that we can do to uplift the lives of the residents, it's our job.
Okay. Nice. Where is District 1? Where is your boundaries in Yonkers?
So my district goes from Ludlow, on the south side, Ludlow Street, all the way up to just before you get to Odell. So that from south to north, but
pretty much
I guess
North Broadway
from
side?
east to west. Yes, I have all of North Broadway from east of right from Nepperhan going towards the water. So that's I have I don't know if you got what you guys call them, Whitney Young is in my district. So from Whitney Young all the way towards the water, all of those,
So you have a nice portion.
Yeah. I have the west side for sure.
Yeah. So wait, districts are broken up to how many? 6 sides? Is there 6
There's
districts?
6 districts, yeah.
Okay.
There's 6 districts.
What made you get into wanting to be a city council?
Okay, so that's an interesting question because I've always wanted to help people. My goal was to go to college and then go to law school and become a lawyer. But while I was in college, I did an internship. I went to SUNY Albany. Shout out to all the SUNY schools. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I studied sociology and political science. And I did this internship in the New York State Division of Human Rights office in Albany. And I was working with a caseworker. We were helping people, and it was a really, awesome opportunity. But I found that I was just very bored with the content of what we were doing. And so I ended up doing an assembly internship, working for an assembly person in the state capitol. And at the time, medical marijuana was a big subject. And I remember I had to write a final paper on that and just figuring out how to create legislation and policy. And that was something that was very interesting to me. And I'm happy that I was able to live to see where we are now. Not just medical marijuana, but recreational marijuana is now legal. So that's a positive thing for our community. But I love the fact that I was able to work on something to impact people's lives, their everyday life, and I think that's a powerful thing. And so that's why my whole life has been entrenched in government since. I came back to Yonkers after college. I worked in the mayor's office for about 6 years. And when the opportunity came and I was able to, run for office on the city council, I jumped right on it, and here I am, 4 years later.
What are the requirements?
You have to be a citizen and 18 years old. Obviously the people in your community would have to require whatever it is that, whatever the issues are that, your community face. They want to make sure that you understand those issues. They want to make sure that you're a community person, that you care, and that you're, some people care about your education, but really and truly all that's required by law is that you are a U.S. citizen and over the age of 18.
All right, so But for you right now, what do you think is the most challenging part of being a district council right now? Because
So being an elected official, it's not the prettiest and coolest job. Most people don't like government officials. They think that we're all corrupt and yada yada.
Yeah.
But the most challenging thing for me on the council is getting the opportunity to work with like-minded elected officials, like like-minded council members who understand what you're fighting for in your district and support that, right? One of the things, for example, that's very challenging right now is this affordable housing ordinance that I introduced, that I'm working on. Trying to get more affordable housing in Yonkers is not easy, and when you have to get at least 4 people on the council to vote in favor of that for it to pass, it's challenging trying to convince people who live on the east side, who don't understand how crucial it is for people on this side of town to have real affordable housing, right? Because that's not one of their community issues over there. They have properties, homeowners on the east side for the most part. So they're not so concerned with people who are renting, right? So that's challenging, trying to convince people that we're here to serve the public and to do this create this law that's going to be here for forever, to hold developers accountable. That's probably
because I was gonna say that too. I was gonna say, why is that such a challenge? But because I see all the new development on like Warburton, it's all the way down Warburton, all
on
the
the
way
water,
on the water,
Water Grand Street,
and
that's all in my district.
Because I know it makes people who are my age. I grew up on that side, going to the PAL, going to the Y. I see the developments happening, and I know people who are from Yonkers can't afford to stay and live in Yonkers.
Right. Well, because what's happening is on the waterfront, we're getting a lot of luxury apartments, right? And that's okay. We want to have a mixed community where you have wealthy and, a blended community. But what's not okay is only focusing on bringing people from Brooklyn and from Manhattan to come into Yonkers and not do anything for the residents that's already here. So, the people in Yonkers on average don't make $150,000. They can't afford to pay $3,000 a month on rent. So we want to make sure that we're, providing something for them so that if they need to move into a new apartment, they can afford to stay there.
Yeah, because I know most people who are for Yonkers, we lose the young professional because there's a lot of great kids that grow up and they come back from college or and they're looking to do something constructive and looking to further their careers, but a lot of them are like, why am I going to come back to Yonkers? There's nothing here to offer. Like, I think that are we going to have are there going to be any ways that we can make our community can kind of somewhat get these internships or these work programs that
so what you're basically asking, are there opportunities for Yonkers residents to be a part of the growth that's happening, right? That's exactly what we are working on. There's a few development projects that's on the table right now, and the conversation with those developers is community benefits. What is the community going to get out of it? Are they going to be able to get good jobs, sustainable jobs, right? That's high paying, that they can, afford to be a part of the fabric here in Yonkers. Those are the conversations that we're having. And yes, it's in the works, but it's a process. So it's going to take some time. But I think that, we're on a path where the more progressive we get, the more we hold certain people, the powers that be, foot to the fire, the better it is, because we're going to be able to deliver. But that we have to get the community support on that.
All right. So, how was that? How was that building that relationship with the community? Like, I know for you, because you have to be at all these events.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes, like you said, people will see him like, they think I'm not really pushing for certain things when I am. How hard is that to build that bond, especially and with like different churches and different
civic engagement is tough. It's I think it's probably one of the most important things that we can do as community people is pay attention to what's happening in your community. Go to the city council meetings, lobby on behalf of the issues that you care about. But a lot of times, a lot of people don't really want to talk about it because they're just not interested in politics. They think it's all bad, but all politics is really local, and you have to get to know who your elected officials are. That's number one. And for me personally, what I try to do pre-COVID anyway is I would go into the schools. I would go into all the, the middle schools, the elementary, the high schools, and try and, meet the people where they are, because they're the future generation. So I try to talk to the kids and start them young to get them interested and engaged, and to let them see that social impact is real, you know what I mean, and that they can make a difference. And I think it has to start there. But you have to, do other community things. Like you said, the churches, that's a big way for elected officials to kind of get their message out, is by visiting churches, going to different programs that they're having, update people, town halls. I think I'm probably one of the only, I don't want to pat myself on the shoulder too much, but I really do a lot of community meetings. And I think it's because I have to. I take it very seriously, and I want people to know what's happening in their backyard. Yeah. And my district is literally the most active with all of the economic development, all of the growth, everything that we talk about.
Downtown Yonkers.
It's downtown Yonkers. It's right in the heart of my district. So I purposely try to do a lot and try to engage people. I've been utilizing Zoom meetings a lot, and that's picked up a lot over the past year. But I think there's just so much more we can do. But that's why I'm here on your platform. Yeah, I'm trying to tap into all the different groups and platforms throughout the city, so that people can hear and understand and get a little interest, and hopefully it'll grow from there.
That also goes back to like what you're saying, helping people not think all government is corrupted, right, and showing them that you actually care and that you're here to help them. So that's really dope that you're involved like that. So.
I know you mentioned overseeing budget. An ongoing problem that I've noticed, and I think that a lot of others notice. I know that Yonkers pays like some of the highest taxes in Westchester, right? Is because like when we go to, as a kid from Yonkers who played on the basketball team and played in different areas of Westchester. Like I went to Pelham and went to Mamaroneck High School and seen the type of facilities that they have as far as a school. Is there any reason? I know it's not, because this is like this before you even. Is there any reason why none of our schools have been updated at all? Like our grandparents, our great grandparents, literally can tell you how the schools look, and they haven't been there in decades.
Yeah. No, we have some dilapidated schools. We have schools that are, the roofs are falling in. Like our schools are old, for sure. We do need to invest in our public schools, invest in our children by investing in our public schools, right? And that's been a fight for years, like you said. I personally, we were talking before we got on air about the fact that I went to school in Yonkers, elementary and middle school in Yonkers, and then I also went to school in Hastings, which is in Greenburgh, and I got to see, just like you, the vast differences in just those two systems, right? I wanted for nothing in Hastings. Played every sport that I wanted to play, had after school, counselors available whenever I needed them. AP art, I took AP art. Like I'm saying, like in Yonkers, my cousins and my sister and everybody that was going to high school in Yonkers, I think at one point there was like one track team.
Yeah,
right?
one track team, one football, two football teams.
Exactly. It's just like, that's not fair. That's we're doing our kids a disservice, right? So I think it's something that we as a community really have to push, out there, let people know that we can lobby our state legislators to get more funding, to change the formula so that we can actually get the fair amount of funding that we're, but that we are entitled to for our Yonkers schools. And that's a big part of it.
Why? But I'm curious, why? How come the fund? I would think that the funding will always be there, considering the population of Yonkers.
Yeah, so Yonkers, we pay a lot of taxes, like you said earlier, to New York State. But because we're such a large city, we're the fourth largest city in all of New York. And so they look at us along with the other big 5 school cities and districts throughout New York State, like Buffalo, I think, Rochester, Syracuse, and I can't remember what the other one is. That might be Albany. But my point is, they don't treat us like we are a part of the other communities and municipalities throughout Westchester. They treat us like we are our own little island. They don't give us the same funding that they give New York City schools, even though we should be getting the same treatment as New York City because we're such a big city, right? So we give a lot of money in taxes, but they continuously give us a flat, return every year. Instead of, time changes. We all know this. the cost of living increases year after year. That means expenses, go up. We are literally paying more money year after year, and we're supposed to get more money back, right? To balance it out.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. They give us a flat rate, and that's the problem. And that's what we need to try and change. But the governor knows this. Our state legislators know this. But for whatever reason, it's just not getting acted on.
Is there something we can vote on to change that? Is this like
something we can do?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, people have been fighting for this for years. We typically go up to Albany and lobby, and it's like falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, cause I moved to Yonkers when I was I want to say I was 8 years old, and I moved here. We changed schools, and I remember one year we had music and art, and then the next year it was like, all right, budget cuts. There's no music, no after school programs. There's no it's crazy that we literally only have there's only varsity. There's no junior varsity sports. And it's doing like you said, the kids a huge disservice, because these opportunities that these other schools have, we don't. Yeah. Our kids don't, and it's really sad. Like with places like Bronxville have a biking team, and I'm just like, we barely have football and basketball. Are there any plans to give the kids any like after school programs? Our summer programs, since summertime is coming up.
Yeah, I mean the city parks department, we do have a couple of camp programs that we do. We have Camp Raise and some other stuff, but those are all paid. You have to pay for them. Those are all paid programs. But we do have some stuff. The YMCA is a great resource. It's very challenging in Yonkers. It's quite sad, and but we don't have anything through the schools that we can rely on for the kids over the summer.
How was it for you guys? I know because I already can imagine, because budget's been an issue for years. With COVID, how was that dealing with school system, making sure kids had all the things that they needed, all the supplies and equipment and iPads and all that stuff?
Yeah, no, it was definitely difficult. It's still very difficult. We had to go on this virtual learning, system. We did a hybrid system in Yonkers, and a lot of our kids did not thrive under that process. Kids who were A students are now getting C's and D's, and you can't expect a child to learn through a computer and basically teach themselves from home and be responsible and log in, and you can barely expect a college student to do that, right? And manage their time and their life well, much less a 14-year-old or a 10-year-old. So it's been challenging. The city council in the very beginning, we had to make some, have some special meetings and really go to the bond market to pay for laptops for our children. And that still wasn't enough. We had to work with different community partners to get donations for kids who needed access to remote learning. So it was very challenging. There's just so many issues. I don't even know if we can go into that. From the teachers not all being able to work, to parents not being able to sit down with their kids and help them because they also have to work, and it was very, very difficult. But I'm happy that schools are open back up now 4 days a week, and I'm sure next semester they'll be back in school full time like regular, hopefully, if there's not another spike in this pandemic. But yeah, it was not healthy at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
It was I was for next year. I did kind of. I know nothing's official. Is it a possibility? Because I heard even though they go back to school full time, if there are snow days, they'd be doing virtual learning. Is that something that they're planning on doing still?
I haven't had that confirmation from the superintendent, so I can't really comment on that, but it's not a bad idea. Because
if they do, tell them. The only thing I'm saying, because to me, it's doing that funding, because you're still going to have to provide all those that equipment. That same funding goes into next year, as well as paying the teachers full time. I mean, having the school clean, having everything sanitized, putting it into staff, that you're pretty much paying double, almost. But I was just a thought. So for you, how was it dealing with the social injustices and the Black Lives Matter protests and everything that went on in Yonkers over the summer, especially with COVID?
Last year, after George Floyd was murdered, you guys were all there. Every community was in uproar. Me personally, whether I was on the city council or not, I would have been on the streets just the same, marching, because it affects me as a Black woman, right? And the whole year, I think a lot of people, in some sense, the pandemic kind of was a blessing because we had time on our hands. Literally, a lot of people were just like bored at home, so we were online a lot, just kind of like really following different news and just really paying attention, waking up and seeing. I think a lot of people got a chance to see what was happening to us in our community. It wasn't news to us, but a lot of people who never really thought about it before was just like, oh, wow, this has been happening. And it's been so, we haven't been there for the Black community. And so that, starting those conversations, having those tough, conversations about race in America was a very positive thing, I think, for not just for Yonkers, for all of our country, and it's leading to different, actions from in the private sector to in governmental agencies where we're now talking about diversity and equity. We're talking about getting, justice, real justice for the Black community. And I think it's a beautiful thing, just the other day, our governor signed a law that now allows for felons who are on parole to vote. That's major. That's a part of, I don't think that would have happened if it wasn't for all of the social, injustice that came to light over the past year and a half, that people have really been talking about all these different things. And I think it's a good thing. I think we have to continue those conversations, though, and continue to not just have conversations, but to act on it, right? And not lose the momentum that we have going. I think a lot of people are waiting and kind of like watching and seeing like, okay, yes, you guys are in uproar now, but you don't know how to follow through on anything. Like they're waiting for us to just be done and stop talking about Black Lives Matter and stop talking about all of these different things, and stop pushing for diversity and inclusivity and equity in these different spaces. So I just want to encourage people to continue to fight, continue to talk about, continue to call people out when they see something that's completely unjust. And I think eventually we'll get to a better place.
Do you know if our police department started racial bias training or community policing?
They, I couldn't answer that question 100% accurately. Technically, I think they should have started it. I don't know how accurate that is. Okay. I don't know how accurate that is. So.
How would people go about voicing their like if there's ever any issues that they want to bring up in the city, in District 1, how would they go about bringing it up to you or getting in contact with you or anything like that?
They can always go to the City of Yonkers website, and you can directly contact any of the council members and even the mayor through there. But me personally, I'm easily accessible. I'm on social media, all social media platforms. You can just find me, Shanae Williams, Shanae for Yonkers on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Twitter. You can reach out to me there, but I think the best way to reach out to me is through emailing or calling my office, ShanaeV.Williams@YonkersNY.gov, or you can just call 914-377-6311, and me or my assistant will definitely get back to you.
Cool. Shanae, we want to thank you.
Appreciate you
for taking time and speaking with us and getting this information out there.
Letting people in Yonkers know that someone is here to fight for us. Yeah. And that's the main thing, to know that someone has our back. Yeah. So.
What are your plans for? And like after are you planning to run for office in the future?
I am running for office right now.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. There you go. All right, cool.
I'm actually running for Westchester County Clerk. It's a countywide race. I'm sorry. There's never been a Black woman or a Black man or person of color, period, elected as countywide office, period. Okay. There's never been a anyone but an old white man as county clerk in Westchester. I'm just going to say that flat out.
Yeah.
So I'm challenging the incumbent. He's been there for 16 years. He's seeking a 5th term. And I think it's time for change. You know, he's been asleep at the wheel. And now I'm making him work by running against him and, you know, highlighting some of the challenges from the clerk's office and pointing out that he needs to be thinking about marginalized communities. He needs to be thinking about poor people. He needs to be thinking about how to get access for information and resources and services directly to these people, and he hasn't been. So that's what I'm running on, and that's what, you know, the election is actually coming up in 7 weeks. June 22nd is the primary. Nice. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
June 22nd, yeah, make sure we go vote. It's very important.
Yes.
I think people forget how important like local voting is.
Yeah.
I think voting for
they
president.
Only think of
exactly. and it's really important because voting local affects us directly. And so we have to be responsible and go out and vote. Yeah. Shanae, you are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking time. Real talk.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
No, thank you.
Of course.
All right.
All right, we're signing off. Thank you.
Good.